What's going on, YouTube? We back in the shop here, and today the plan is to make some workbenches. I got some angle iron here. It's what, 3 inches by 5 inch angle iron, and it's going to be basically an angle iron frame. And then I'm gonna put concrete board on the bottom, weld in some rebar, and then I'm gonna fill it with concrete. I'll probably have to build some support up under the workbench, but got me a little cheap angle grinder off of, not angle grinder, plasma cutter off of Amazon here, about $150 plasma cutter. And then I got my Harbor Freight welder. And this metal, I got it on Facebook Marketplace. It's a little bit thicker than I had intended, but we cut some legs over there. It's going basically from here. It's going to go kind of around that post there and then over to here. I'm going to try to make it close to the height of that workbench there, and it's going to be 24 inches deep. So I'm going to weld some feet onto the bottom of the angle iron there so that I can tap on it to the concrete, and then so it'll be a frame all the way around, and then it will be, like I said, filled with concrete. So I have no clue how to run a plasma cutter. These cuts here are the first time I've ever cut with a plasma cutter, and this thing is by no means a champion. So it ain't no titanium from Harbor Freight, but we're gonna get to work here, get us our first little piece for the back there, and then a piece for here, and then get to welding after that. We're gonna figure out how to do it as we go. So here we go.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm definitely not a plasma cutter expert. I've never really ran a plasma cutter before, but we're gonna get our metal cut up and then we're gonna start welding it up. All right, we got some pieces cut. We got our legs cut. This is where it's going to go. We're going to start it off on the ground just to keep it nice and square. I got that piece squared off. We're just going to put a few tacks on it, and then after that, we're going to put a leg back there, a leg here, and a leg there so we can get it standing up. And from there, we'll just hold the workpiece as we're welding a new one on. We'll weld a long piece on it and just put a leg on that side and then hold it somewhere in the middle while he welds it there. So we're gonna get to tacking this up here.
Right here?
Yeah, make sure it's still square. Put that square up in the middle. Put it up at the top, kind of. Pretty good. We're running a little hot.
Yeah. A little bit.
Turn it down. Turn it to like 110. I just put one back there, and then should have get one up top. And
I'll think once we get that top. Where do I need to put that?
huh?
The ground clamp?
It's fine now since you're connected. I do want to mention here, neither one of us are welders, fabricators, metal guys by any means. This is really just a DIY project here, and it'll be strong enough in the end once we weld it all together. So,
Up here?
yep. As long as we don't catch the shop on fire, I'll be happy. It's tacked, so we're gonna weld some feet on it and get it up in the air. All right, we making some progress on this. We've got a lot of this welded, tacked in place. Kind of made a little bit of a mistake. I had this piece was a piece that was left over, and I had a piece sitting over there right beside it that was that much longer, and tacked it up on the ground down here, and then I sat it up there, and I was like, perfect. So it doesn't matter. You can glue it all together. So we glued on a little extension. You can see definitely not no professional welders by any means. This was had a really big gap, but definitely suck at welding. I'm not ever claiming to be a welder, never have. All this is just tacked up, but also trying to figure it out. It's cold, the metal's cold, the rods are cold, so I don't know. Got this stuff, and I'm not good with a plasma cutter either. As you can see, a plasma cutter is probably not the best thing for this. A chop saw with a steel blade would have probably been way better, but I didn't know, still don't know. So got it. Had some funky cuts like this here. This one wasn't too bad. Got a little one there, and then now it'll really be. We're gonna weld this stuff up, put 3 legs on it, just like that, on the ground, and then we're gonna stand it up into place, and that'll go from there, and then go this way, and then from there you can see that cutout and this cutout over here. We'll just cut one long piece to go all the way across that. We'll put, probably it's got feet over here, so probably just put either one in the middle or one here and one here, something like that, just to kind of support it. I don't want to weld it. It's kind of freestanding from the building. I don't want it attached to the building just in case if I ever want to move it or need it out of the way for, I don't know, putting flooring in, I mean, epoxy floors or something like that. I don't know. I want to be able to move it. That, or if I ever spray foam, I don't know. Anything that comes up, I want to be able to move it. So, and I'm going to end up going like on the bottom, and I wish I would have put, I don't know. What do y'all think? That one, I was thinking about rotating it around and having this as the face, but I did that so you wouldn't walk up to it and kick that like right there, and really it would make more sense in the middle, but I don't know. Might should have done it the other way around. Structurally, I don't really think it matters, but I'm going to go and attach a little bar basically from there to there. I don't know if I'll do it with that material or if I'll do it with some smaller stuff, because this stuff is really, really thick. There's no need for this amount of thickness, but we're gonna get that tacked together, get these feet tacked onto it, and then stand it up in place, weld it on, get the long piece cut and weld 2 feet to it, and then stand it up and weld it to it. And that'll basically be it for the frame. We'll have to obviously go ahead and finish welding everything. We just got it all tacked together for now. And I'm going to take some smaller pieces, like, it's hot, like this, and drill some little holes in it and weld them right there, drill a hole in it so I can tap con it to the floor. So we'll have to weld that as well, but we're making pretty good progress. It took a while fixing that mess up and then going around that, but we're making pretty good progress. All right, we got the main frame finally welded up. This ended up not lining up the greatest, but I don't know, it's late, we're tired, we probably should have went home. I ended up putting some booger welding on there. My clamp kept moving, so I welded it to the table. Ended up breaking some welds there, but who cares, we'll weld it back. That's the whole frame. Some of the feet are not touching. The metal's wavy, I don't know. I'm gonna blame it on the metal. I'm gonna blame it on never having run a plasma cutter, but that doesn't really matter. I'm gonna end up putting a level on it, and it's not quite level. When I jack it up and I put those feet, I'll get the feet where they need to go, and then once it's level and I have those feet there, I'll weld it to that, and that'll keep it where it all needs to go. So I'm not too worried about some of them not touching. Most of them are touching. That one's good. This one's touching, not so good. But anyways, got it all framed up. So the next thing will be finishing everything, because it's mainly just tack welded, and then I'm gonna end up going through and putting rebar every, I don't know, foot, 2 foot, 16 inches, something like that, and then I'll run some rebar across it after I put the backer board down, and then it'll get filled with concrete. So we're going home. It's dark outside. I don't know what time it is, probably midnight. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving at the time of recording this video, so I'm going home and getting in the bed. All right, next day here, or actually a couple days later, but we got basically all the frame up and got it tacked in place before we quit the other day. Today, what I want to do on the feet down there, I'll show you. There's basically 8 legs, and I'm cutting. I already cut one just to see what it would look like. So there's 8 legs just like that, and I want this thing to be sturdy because I'll be sometimes up there jumping on it with pipe wrenches on some hydraulic cylinders or getting some impellers off of jet pumps or something like that. So welding has sucked so far. I actually started welding over here and starting to get a little bit better, but I still suck, and vertical is quite frustrating. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch some YouTube videos or something on that. I know how to TIG weld a little bit, but this stick is something else. Anyways, to get these feet secure, I'm just taking this 1/4-inch plate. Some of them are just cut-offs from the other, and I want to get them basically in there like that. That one's a little short, but this don't work. I'll put it in the back or something. Could just space it out. Do that. I'm going to drill a hole in it, a smaller hole. I don't want to put massive anchors in it. I'm just going to run some 3-inch Tapcons through it. So I'll get me like a 1/4-inch hole or something like that in there. Not quite even 1/4-inch. And go ahead and weld it in. And then I'll secure the back because the back needs to be a certain distance off of the metal because of this tension rod on the building. So I'm going to measure that post out down there and get it set just perfect. Tapcon it down, measure it, and then I'll match those other 4 to that. And then from there, I will measure off of that to see what this one should be according to the top. So first thing, I need to get 7 more of these little feet cut. So we're going to get them cut real quick, and then we're going to tack some of them on. Alrighty, we are finally done cutting out our plates for the legs here. We went through about 8 or 9 of them cutting wheels. That's why I really chose to do a plasma cutter for everything else. It wasn't nearly as clean, and it's requiring a little more prep work, but those wheels are not fun to use. Maybe on a bigger grinder would really be what I needed to do. I don't know. I'm not a metal worker, so. But we got the plates. I've got a little drill press. I'm gonna drill, I think, just 1 hole in each plate. Really, the weight of this thing's gonna hold it down. But if I put 8 Capcons in it, then it ain't ever gonna go anywhere. So we're gonna get that little drill press set up and drill those plates, and then we're gonna get them tacked in. Alright, we are set up here, and I'm gonna start cutting some holes in these things. So this thing is old as I don't even know, but I've cut a few holes with it before. I believe it was my dad's. So it's better than holding a drill and cutting, so we're gonna use it. One down. Seven to go. That's all 8 of them right there. So, got all the holes drilled. I will tack them up now and then start to level this thing up, get the legs all level, and then we'll secure them down. All right, here's what's happening right now. I'm measuring up at the top here, getting my measurement because these have moved a little bit since I've been welding on them. And whatever that measurement is there, I'm using a jack to jack it apart here to spread it apart. And that's just to get it to where it's actually going to be sitting so I don't weld these feet on there and then be slightly tilted or something. And then I'm taking the jack off because I'm not fully welding them until I bolt them down. And I do not have tap cons. I don't know where my tap cons are, so I'm just getting all the feet welded on now, and I'll come back later and put a jack back in there and get them exactly where they need to be. And then I'll get the screws started, and once they're started and snug so that the plate can't pull up as it cools or heats up, then I will fully weld it in, and once it's fully welded in, I'll bolt it down. Don't know if that's the right way. Y'all can tell me how y'all would do it, but that's how I'm doing it right now. Same thing on this side. And I'm about to do these 4 here. So, and I don't know you can't use a bottle jack on its side because it won't pump because the fluid's not getting where it needs to get. And then that jack, you can halfway use it on its side. So that's what I'm doing. It doesn't have a lot of pressure, again, because it, I guess, doesn't have the fluid reservoir. But I have the telescoping jacks that come in a lot of cars, and that's at the house. So right now I'm just doing that. It's not great, but when I fully weld them in, I'm going to get my telescoping jack so I can actually get it set exactly where it needs to be. But we're getting these tacked in for now. Alrighty, we got the screws we need. I've got a bottle jack here. I'm just measuring this measurement. We're at 18 and 7/8. gonna measure it down here and work this jack until we are where we need to be. And once I stretch this out, it's not gonna be great, but once I go back and weld this stuff and it cools back down with it locked in place, it'll be a lot better. It won't be having that much tension on it, or it may have more tension, but hopefully not the latter. All right, that's where we need to be, and we need to be 10.5 off of here. So we need to go that way just a little bit. That'll work. We're at 10.5 off of there. So we can drill this hole, and I'm going to drill that hole. Put the screws in, almost tight, pretty tight, I would say. I might go ahead and just bolt them all the way down. I don't think there's any reason to wait, so. All right, let's see. It's gonna break. Sometimes these screws, I don't know if it's the bits that get wore out. I bought another bit just in case. But sometimes they do not want to go in good, and they break off, and it really sucks. Let's see. I'm not using that one. That's better, but still at the bottom of the hole, you might think I'm crazy, but it sucks when these things break off. I don't understand. Maybe I need to blow the holes out better. There we go. She eventually went. Let's see. All right. Hole number 2. That's how it's supposed to go. That went, it was tight all the way through, but it wasn't stopping and feeling like it's trying to break off. So there we go. Let's loosen this and see. Cool, it didn't try to move any, so there we go. We are locked in place on those two, which is great. So we're gonna do that 4 or 6 more times, and then we'll be ready to weld all of that in and come back, weld the top of all this in, weld that vertical, re-weld that because that's ugly. But all right, we're making it somewhere. Cool. All right, let's get those done. All right, we got everything done. We got all the feet welded on. We got a pig right here. We got all the plates, holes drilled in them. We got them spaced out right, spaced off the wall right. We got everything anchored down. It's really strong now. It's not going anywhere. And I did go and weld in the rest of the stuff there. I missed one over here, but I'll have to weld that in here shortly. Let's see. So the plan is on the bottom, I wanted to put like backer board for doing like tile and flooring, but they didn't have any. So I'm gonna put hardy board in there. So it's still concrete board. I got one sheet. I'm gonna cut it in half and cut around that post and all that, and then put it in there. And the plan is to use some great stuff, spray foam. I got rebar as well. The plan is I want the hardy board to sit about halfway because I want the concrete to be sitting on this too. So the plan is to cut it there to about there, same thing here, and then lay that all in there. But what I'm going to do first on this, I don't know, I might go an inch in or something. I'm basically going to run a bead of spray foam first, and then I'll put the hardy board down on there. I'll put something heavy on it. I don't know exactly what I'll put on there, but I might just put the cutoffs from the metal on there. Let that spray foam cure, and that's just because when I do the concrete, I don't want the water from it to go out and under it. So that's the plan right now. I'm going to get that down, and then after that, I'm going to weld in the rebar. I'm going to do 2 runs this way, lengthways, and then I'm going to do 1 every foot going that way, all the way down. So let's get some hardy board cut up. Let's get some rebar cut up and get things going. I got the concrete in the back of my truck. That's going to be real fun to mix up my hand. I got a few extra bays there if I need it, but let's get this thing done. That's basically the plan right there. That's gonna do pretty good, I think. I thought this stuff was 8 foot, but it was actually a lot longer than 8 foot, so I had to trim some off. I just trimmed it to where this piece can be a solid piece. I was gonna make it to go back and then have a little piece there, but that would have been weak. So I'm just gonna do a full piece there, and then we'll be ready for some rebar. It's a lot stronger than I can put my whole weight just about on that. I was thinking about putting like a wall up under there, one of the concrete cured, but this stuff is really strong. I can really stand on it. I think that's fine. I weigh 170, 180 pounds, so I don't think I need a wall. I'll have something ready just if it looks like it's gonna sag, but I think we're good. Let's cut that other piece and then start putting some rebar in there. Alrighty, we are finally done. Got all the rebar welded in. I was gonna weld it to itself everywhere, but I changed my mind. There's no point in doing that. It's not gonna add anything really. It might, but I don't know. So I'm gonna call that good. Time to put some daggum concrete in here. I've been working on this thing for a few days now. I'm just ready to get some concrete on it and let it cure and get some sealer on it and use the dang thing. So let's get some concrete on it. Alrighty. Finally got enough concrete mixed up. I don't know how concrete works completely, but every bucket I mixed, it kept getting heavier and heavier, so y'all excuse the pig in the background squealing for no reason. But yeah, that concrete says it's 60 pounds, but I just don't know that I believe those last few buckets were 60 pounds. Just they got heavier and heavier and heavier. But you might have seen in one of those clips, I got a hammer drill, and all I'm doing with it is putting it on hammer mode and putting it up against, I guess what you'll call the forms on this, and letting it hammer, and that's just vibrating it, and that's just bringing the air up out of the concrete. So it works pretty good. You could do it with a sawzall or whatever you want to do, really. Anything to get it to shake those form boards real good. So I've got a little bit too much concrete in here. I'm gonna go ahead and scoop a little bit of that out. Let me get this pig out of here and I'll start this right back. All right, no more pig. So a couple things I've learned here. One, I don't do concrete for any kind of living. This is the most concrete I've ever done, to be honest with you. So if you saw this side down here, I mixed way too wet and it's still dripping. So that's going to be fun to finish because it's going to keep bringing water to the surface. And then over here, I've been mixing it a lot more dry, and that's been working out way better. So be careful not to, it's easy to want to mix it wet so it'll be easier to work, but don't do it. It's not worth it in the long run because you're going to be getting water off of it the whole time. Yeah, we got too much in here. There's a little low spot over here. Another thing I did not account when I was putting my rebar in, I set my height to the bottom piece of rebar I welded in, and then I put that top piece on it, and that top piece is a little too high. So that was a mistake I made, but it's all a learning process for me. Get rid of some of this concrete, but it's just a personal workbench, so I'm not really too worried about it. Another thing I went ahead and did is I put jacks up under there. I got 2 of them set up, and hopefully that's enough. I was figuring I didn't need anything because earlier I was stepping on it and it was feeling fine, but I got to thinking about it. Once that hardy board gets wet, it's gonna get a little bit weaker. So to make me feel better, I just went ahead and put a couple supports under there. If I would have thought about that before, I might would have actually built a whole temporary wall or something like that up under there. So hopefully just those couple short, I don't know, 2 foot or so beams that I put up under there are gonna hold it pretty good. We'll find out though. I hope I don't find out the hard way. This is all YouTube University concrete right here. So y'all judge me in the comments all you want. I'm happy to hear some constructive criticism to learn something. I'm always up for learning something from people that know a whole lot better than me. Right now I'm just trying to get it flattened out though. You can kind of give it some love taps right there, and it brings that water or slurry or whatever it's called up to the top. So keep on working it. Got a little bit of a low spot here, so bring that in. And if it's a little high, I'm going to leave it right now just in case that does settle down just a little bit. We'll have some concrete to account for it, but that's about it right here for now. Until I'm gonna keep working it and getting these air pockets out of the top and whatnot. But other than that, I need to keep working this water out down here. You can see all that water on there. That was a big mistake on my part. So we're gonna keep working that out and keep smoothing things out here. And we'll come back here in a little bit. A little piece of pine straw in there or something. We'll come back in a little bit when it's starting to tack up a little bit and keep working it and try to get it to a pretty smooth surface. I'm not going to be able to get it to like a shop floor surface, but I do want it smoother than it is right now. So we'll be back in a little bit once it starts to tack up. Alright, I'm going to call that finished. I know you probably can't tell much difference on video from that, but it is just about as smooth as I think I'm going to get it. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy to have that project done. Hopefully done. In the morning I'll take those two jacks out. But overall it went pretty well. Definitely learned a lot. Learned a little bit about concrete, and I'll probably end up in the morning if it's still able to be worked any. It's going to get down to like 24, 25 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know, 4 degrees Celsius, something like that tonight. So it's going to be pretty cold. So in the morning, if I can work it any, I'll take that trowel again and kind of try to buff it out a little bit. If not, then I'm pretty happy with that. It's just a workbench, so that's just me being picky. If anything, cool thing I like. It looks cool with the being cut around that. If it'll focus, being cut around that post, I like that. It's a lot better to me than having it moved out, whatever 6 or 8 more inches. But that's it. It was more work than I thought, and I'll end up going back probably and adding supports there just between those. If I ever need to pull this thing out, then I can pull it out without those legs rolling or something like that. So that's gonna be it for this video, I believe. If you enjoyed the video, then give it a like. If not, that's okay too. Next thing you'll probably see is going to be either the skid steer here or the bulldozer. So the bulldozer is close to being done. I can probably finish that up here soon and get that video out. But if you like seeing things like this, you know, rebuilding a skid steer, or I've got a video on getting the Jeep started. I'm about to hopefully get on some repairing some weld or rust on that, welding in some patch panels. So if you like videos like that, then give the channel a like or a follow, or come back to it, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna have some videos coming out on some of those things here soon. So appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it.